This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. All right, we've got a Hoshizaki ice machine here today that is not working at all. The bin is quite low. This side's just trying its best to make up for what the right side can't do. Come up here, we've got no LED lights on the board. Power switch is on. I'm gonna check across the bin thermostat. Bin thermostat is basically just a temperature controller. And we've got 120 volts across the bin thermostat, indicating that the bin thermostat is open. But it shouldn't be because it's got no ice in there. So we're gonna change that bin thermostat real quick. All right, I got a new bin thermostat here. The old one was actually just replaced last week by us. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just defective. I looked at how it was installed. It wasn't rubbed out, nothing. So took it back to the supply house and swapped it out. And while I was gone, I just jumped it out. So that way the machine would be making ice, you know? So that way I could actually see if it's working, which it wasn't off on a safety or anything. So we know that it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the machine, install the new bin thermostat, and then we'll test it and make sure everything's good. All right, so it usually has this little thing right here. We just basically took that out, used the rubber sleeve that it comes with to protect it, and we're just slapping it back in there now. We'll drop it down in and then turn it on. Obviously, protect the ice, make sure nothing falls down into it, and it should look something along those lines. But you want this capillary protected from the ice that's dropping. That's why they send these little tubes, and that's the special holder for it. So, all right, well, let's finish it up, zip tie it up, and get it started up. When you have a bin stat that is closed, you should hear that beep when you start up the machine. So before we weren't hearing anything because it wasn't allowing power to pass through. So we're gonna let it make a batch of ice now. This machine certainly could use a cleaning, but it's not the worst I've seen. Make sure when you route the bin stat, you route it in a way that it's not gonna rub out on anything, not touching any metals, running through the capillary down below. I secured the bin stat bracket with the proper thumb screw right there, so always be cautious about that stuff. And now it's just hurry up and wait for a couple batches of ice. These Hoshizakis on warm days like today, they take 45 minutes to an hour to make ice as the outdoor temperature gets higher and higher. I think it's probably in the 80s today. So while I'm doing this, I mean, it's not gonna hurt anything to wipe it down, right? So I'm just wiping down the surface stuff. I'm not getting inside the machine, but might as well, right? Keep busy, give the customer the best value for what they're spending, basically. So instead of just sitting here on my ladder staring at my phone, do some work, make them happy, wipe it down as best as you can. Certainly not super clean, but it's a lot better than it was, right? So just trying to stay busy. This thing should be getting closer to making ice. So. And it just went into harvest. So the machine, after a certain time frame, the board then lets control of the harvest go to the water flow. Then once the water flow level inside the sump, the water level gets low enough, this guy sends a signal to the board that it has run out of water. It's making an assumption based off of the efficiency of the machine and how long it takes for that water to freeze, that when the level gets low enough, that all that water is frozen on the evaporator. That can also bite them in the butt when this pump out check valve leaks by and it dumps the water out the drain. Then it can go into a premature harvest, but that's not the case this time. We're making decent ice. It's all falling down into the bin. So it seems like the operation of this machine is back in order and everything seems to be working properly. Last but not least, put the scoop of ice right around that and count how long it takes to turn on and off. Should be turning on within a couple seconds, turning off within 10, 15 seconds, something like that. Took about 11 seconds to turn off and 2 seconds to turn on. To test it, I just put it in water pump wash mode. So it'll start making ice again and they're good to go for now. We don't always get like crazy difficult service calls. Sometimes it's something as simple as a temperature controller. Essentially, that's what that bin thermostat is for that Hoshizaki machine. It basically just looks for a correct temperature setting, right? And if it doesn't see that temperature, then it either turns the unit off or turns it back on, right? So that's the whole purpose. But the interesting thing is that we just replaced that bin thermostat. So luckily, we we have situational awareness as technicians. When we're out here, you know, we gotta like look at previous service history, and we gotta, you know, make sure that we take care of the customer. You know, a good majority of the time with the customers that I work with, they wouldn't know otherwise. Like, you know, there's multiple managers at that restaurant, and there's not one particular person that is specifically in charge of repair and maintenance. So, you know, the manager that called us might not be the manager that called us the last time, right? But we don't try to rip the customer off. We don't try to make a quick buck off the customer. If I know it's a warranty issue, I'm always going to bring it to their attention. So went ahead and told them, hey, this actually ended up being completely a warranty call, labor and parts all together, because we just replaced that. We have a 90-day warranty on our labor, and we honor manufacturer's warranties on the parts. So typically manufacturer's warranties are a year. Hoshizaki, though, they do some weird stuff with their parts, but still, regardless, a week, you know, ago we changed this bin thermostat. It is 100% covered under warranty. Now, you know, like I kind of was saying, the customer, a lot of the times they wouldn't know any different, you know, but still we got to do right by the customer. I have to be able to sleep at night. I have to be able to say, hey, you know what? I know that I'm not trying to make a quick buck off this customer, because here's the thing, a quick buck. So let's say I charge them for this call. Might have cost them, with the part and my labor and stuff, might have cost them $600 to $800 maybe, or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, right? But whatever, let's just guess that $600 to $800 to change that bin thermostat with my labor, travel time, all that stuff, right? That $600 to $800 is nothing, not a single penny in comparison to potentially working with this customer for another 10 to 15 years, because that's how long I've worked with them to this point. And in my opinion, I can sleep at night, but at the same time, they continue to use me, and this is my opinion, because we try to do our best, we try to do right, we're honest with the customer. I hope that's why they continue to use me, because that's what I'm trying to give them, that level of service. Majority of the time, I'm going to tell them about warranty before they even think about warranty, okay? Always try to take care of your customers, because in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, maybe I'm completely wrong, but in my opinion, I'd rather continue to make money over years and years and years to come, honest money, right? Honest money, as opposed to making a quick buck, making a quick $600 to $800 and be like, yes, we scored on that one, you know? I don't want to make that kind of money, because I want them to have that trust. I want them to call me. You know what is a really, really good thing is when your customer calls you for a location that you don't normally service. Mind you, a location that they know you'll never regularly service, but they've been having problems with their other contractors, and they're willing to pay you some extra travel time to drive out to this location that's out of your service area, because they know that you'll get the problem solved. I've only had that happen a few times in my career, but man, is it a good feeling when the customer calls you. Look, I know you can't service this location on a regular basis, but could you please just come give me a second set of eyes? My other contractor just can't seem to figure it out. And then you go out there and then, you know, get to figure it out and then look like the hero. So, but I think that happened in the past because the customer trusted me, right? I recently, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's because of our level of honesty and our dedication to do our best to make sure that the customer's taken care of, okay? So, when it comes to the Hoshizaki ice machines, I mean, these machines are not that difficult as long as you have a general understanding of the sequence of operation and how they work. You can work your way through troubleshooting. You know, also, I know there's going to be a bunch of people in the comments saying, this is why I don't eat ice. This machine's filthy. This machine's not even dirty. For those of you that are ice machine service technicians, you know that this is a pretty darn clean machine, okay? What the general public thinks is dirty, they don't even understand, right? When you start seeing stuff crawling, like physically maggots crawling in the ice machine, that's when you really, really need to get concerned. Trust me, I've been there, seen it, got videos on it, right? Go back through my catalog, you'll see I've got some interesting videos where there's little things crawling and moving around in the machines. This is, yeah, it has some surface stuff, and yes, it could use a cleaning, but it's not that big of a deal. This is pretty typical of a thing. And yes, to answer the question, when I go out to eat, I get ice in my stuff. Ignorance is bliss, my friend. And majority of the time, what everybody thinks is the grossest thing, I mean, if you think about it, you're breathing that air. Like, it's just concentrated. So if there's like weird, nasty whatever stuff, calcium or you know, slime or whatever, build up in these machines. Remember, that's the stuff you're breathing. It's just consolidated in one space, right? That's just the airborne contaminants in the air reacting with the temperature of the water, the surface temperature of the plastic, all that different stuff, and bacteria and stuff starts to grow. But it's still the stuff that you're breathing as you're walking through that restaurant every single day. So I'm not saying it's not bad, but I'm just saying I still get ice. Ignorance is bliss, my friend. I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. Thank you so very much. I know this was a short one, but, you know, sometimes we get the short ones. So thank you so very much. If you're interested in supporting this channel, you know the easiest way to support this channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. But you can also go to my website, hvacrvideos.com. We have hats such as this one available for purchase. Great way to help support the channel. Small business. My wife handles all the merch, processing, all that good stuff. She, you know, ships it, packages it, gets it all sent out. So great way to help support a small family business. Couple other ways to help support the channel, but you know the easiest way, just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way, right? But you can also go to PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Those are all great ways to help support the channel. Those are just different ways that you can make a one-time donation to the channel or a monthly commitment. Some people choose to do, you know, $1 a month. Some people, I think there might be a person in there doing like $10 a month or maybe even $20 a month. Like, it is a great way to help support the channel if you're interested in doing so. There's links in the show notes of this video. Last but not least, you can actually go to TrueTechTools.com. TrueTechTools.com is where I purchase a good majority of my tools. I actually have an affiliate program set up with them. If you use my affiliate code BIGPICTURE, one word, that's the two words Big Picture put together with no space in between. So Big Picture at checkout. On majority of the items, you'll get a discount, and then when that discount is applied, I get a small commission from that order. So another great way to help support the channel. And True Tech Tools, they really are a great company. Good friends over there. So thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you, and hope to catch you on the next one.